Okay. I hope you guys are doing great because we're about to start. I'm so excited today. And anyone who's going to be on the show is going to have so much fun today. This is going to be awesome. And here I am. How are you guys? How are you guys? Today is a CRE Coffee talk about commercial real estate. Anyone wants to build a career in real estate, commercial real estate, of course, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And I hope you guys are doing fantastic. How are you today, this Sunday morning? It's not Monday. The CRE Shark Eye show is usually on Monday and Thursday, and today we're taking a little bit of a out of the ordinary type of a thing. We're going out off track, call it whatever you want, and that's what we're going to do. And here's the time, and here's the chance to have questions. And we have some guests that are going to hopefully come up on the show. Some people already texted me, emailed me, DM'd me. And anyways, I'm looking forward to have everybody. Right now, I'm going to also look at the LinkedIn at the same time. So I will make sure I can actually see everybody. Today is not a show where we have someone interviewed or anything of that sort. Today is a show about you, the person who's listening, mostly for college students, college graduates, and people in general who want to get into commercial real estate, want to know more. It should be a fun show, light show. It's not about a person who's going to be interviewed. But if you are seeing this, any influencer that is seeing it, I'd love to bring you up on the show for like a couple of minutes and have your take on anything and give some passion and give some motivation to the people, to the young people, to the older people, to everybody, to me, to everybody who is looking at this, who's seeing this, and I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, looking forward to it. I'm looking at my LinkedIn because sometimes I don't see, I don't see the messaging, I don't see the comments. So I'm hoping to see your comments. I'm hoping to see everything that is going on, and every once in a while, because I'm going to check the live through LinkedIn via LinkedIn. And anyways, sometimes it blocks actually the internet, so I'm not going to do that too often. But what I am going to do is I'm going to try to stay on LinkedIn. I'm trying to think maybe I should do it through the phone. But anyways, anyone who is seeing the show, please send a message. See what you can do if you can get on the show and get up. I know there's someone who's trying to get on the show. I'm trying to get him on the show. I'm going to remove this coffee talk thing. So actually, we're going to see me as soon as basically someone is getting in, someone's getting on. Let me just 1 second see. Okay, we have someone who's trying to get on. Let me see. Where are we? Okay, cool. Okay. It's trying to work few technologies at the same time. It's not so simple. I'm not such a techie guy, guys. I'm learning on the go. Okay, so first of all, I have someone who's trying to get on the show. His name is Ilan Bollender. He's a college student who's trying to get into commercial real estate, and I know him very well because he's taking my courses, and he's very dedicated, and he has a lot of things to say, and I would love for him to come on the show. But anyways, anyone who is seeing this and wants to come for a few minutes on the show, talk about commercial real estate a little bit, would love to have you. Love to have you. Of course, first come, first serve. Unless there are college students who already scheduled that prior to this. So let's try to see what's going on and who is up. Okay, cool. All right, let me just 1 second text him and see that he is actually coming up. Okay. All right. Again, would love to have you guys. Would love to have you guys. If you are seeing, if you're listening, I can, of course, talk for a few hours if you want. And I have no problem with that. And some people will be shy, of course, and some people will not be shy. But anyone who wants to ask about things about real estate, here is your chance. Here is your chance. Here is your chance. And it's Sunday today. It's a day for relaxation, for asking questions. Nobody's running to work. Unless your kid is going to a baseball league or something like that. But it's COVID. So you obviously have nothing to do but looking at me. I'm just kidding. But anyways, I'd love to have you. And let's do this. Let's do this. So I'm going to start a little bit talking a little bit about why I'm doing this thing, and why is it important to me to do this thing, and why this thing became my sort of so-called movement and the thing I want to do. I would start with the fact that I was not a commercial real estate guy, not even a real estate guy. I was not in real estate, and for many, many, many years, I was a teacher. Actually, I was a teacher. I was teaching Jewish studies. That's what I did for many, many years, and I loved every single moment doing it. But without getting into too much details, if you want, you can hear my origin story. This is not what we're doing today. I felt I need to shift my career and to do something a little different, and the passion apparently was real estate. I knew I wanted to do something a little bit more than just real estate, but I wanted to do the bigger real estate type of stuff. Not everybody's coming from a rich family. Not everybody's coming with a fancy graduate degree and can just jump into the pool and just do this. It's not a simple thing. Not everybody has that ability. Okay, it's not something that everybody can do. Some people can do this, and that's beautiful. Some people can afford it, and that's beautiful. Some people have the time for it, and that's awesome. That is great, but some people can't. And how do you really get into this industry if you don't have those amazing connections? And by the way, I hope you guys are also watching the series, meaning I'm following the series. I just got introduced actually to the series of Undercover Billionaire. It has so much impact. It made so much impact on me. I don't know about you guys. I'd love to hear from you what you think about it. I just love this. This is just an awesome show. Awesome show. And to see people who are putting themselves in the position of having nothing and starting over, that is really inspiring and give me a lot of ideas, and learn from it a lot. And brings me to the thing again to tell you that from the point where I was a teacher, how do you really do this? There's, I learned the hard way how to do this thing. Some people made it huge. Some people made it medium. Some people made it small, but it's an industry that is definitely rewarding. And this is something that I'm so happy I got into. I just lately got into this, this framework, this screen thing that is called, the internet and the podcasts and the shows and all that stuff. Thanks to COVID. Okay. Thanks to COVID. And that was the deal. And that was the issue. And you know what? Here we are. And I felt that, a few years ago already, I had an idea of doing something, starting a program, because in heart and soul, I'm a teacher. I had this idea of putting something up for people to be able to learn about this a little bit easier, because I had such a hard time. I had to learn, break my teeth, break my head against the wall every single time I had something interesting, a deal coming up or something like that. And it was not a simple thing. It was not a simple thing, without a doubt. And when it came to this point, I decided I want to give back. And it came in the form of a show, podcast, courses, all kind of stuff like that. But I'm enjoying every moment. Sometimes COVID put us, meaning if you'd look back a year ago, I didn't have a second to do this. And right now I do. And already we have someone coming up on the show. And here is Ilan Bollender. I'm going to bring him up. Ilan, how are you? 1 second. Let me put it normally. Okay, here you are. How are you,
good. I'm good. How are you?
It's always good to see you. I hope you got something, not a whiskey. I got a tea. How are you?
I'm good. I got some coffee myself. It's backstage though. I'm doing very well. It's good. It's good to see you face to face.
No, the busy man, school time, and trying to get to work and trying to get, tell everybody about yourself a little bit. I don't know how many people are listening or not, but they're definitely going to listen later. You know how it is. The live usually is live now and also stays later. But the benefit of this thing today is, first of all, to help you, to answer you some questions that you have. And that's why he came up on the show, and also to give other people some ideas, meaning get them to hear the questions and get them to hear some answers and see how things are done and how things are going. So tell us a little bit about where you are. What do you do nowadays? Which school you go to?
Of course, of course. So, like Ishai said, my name is Ilan. I'm from New York. I'm from Great Neck specifically. I born and raised here. And after high school,
I know that place a little bit.
you know that place a little bit. Too bad I didn't see you in North Shore. I went to South. It was I went to South High School. It was right next door.
Right, exactly.
But after high school, I decided to join the army. I served in the army for a few years. I had a great time. I was a combat engineer, and after some traveling and enjoying a little bit of life, I decided to come back to the States and pursue my college degree. I'm currently at Baruch College, studying real estate. I'm in my second year. Now, since COVID hit, everything has gone online, as everybody knows. And
what are you studying exactly? Real estate, you're saying in the second year. What are you studying exactly? So what was the focus there?
So the focus is just obviously modeling, financial modeling, and a little bit into construction, project management. We're learning real estate law. It's learning the most basic stuff. Now, I didn't get into it, but that's what we're learning now. But obviously with your course, I'm learning things much more deeper and getting an advantage. Like you said, when you were starting out, you wanted to learn in 1 year what people would learn in 4 years. So I think that's the heart, and I'm doing that.
You got to crush it, as we call it. So exactly. So what are your dreams for the future? Meaning you're young and restless, and you know what? Some of us did not have a chance to get into this field young, meaning we thank for every moment. Whatever we had to do, we did. And I loved what I did. But you're young. Starting young is really important, and it's a huge advantage. So what are your dreams? Where you going, man?
So just to give a little start off, the first time I really thought about real estate is when I actually went on a trip to New Jersey with my brother to see this local developer. And when I saw he was doing multiple asset classes, he was doing residential, commercial, D class, B class, he was doing everything. And he sort of, how would I say, he put the seed, he inspired me. And I saw that he was not only just flipping houses, he was doing development for low income. He was giving people that didn't have a place to live, he was giving them a good place to live. And also he was helping his community. And that really inspired me. This was about like a year and a half ago. And just throughout seeing, obviously in my family, we have some investment properties, and just being on the management side, I really like the whole concept of how a building is built and sort of to take on a project and to deal with many different aspects at once, whether that be construction, management, even finding the right investment property. It's very exciting for me. But my goal obviously is to become a developer on multiple asset classes. I like to get into like when you said in your course, HUD development, specifically trying to do multifamily. Obviously, he's trying to start off with that, but within multifamily, to do many different asset classes. And the end goal is obviously, money. While money is a big part of it, I'd like to stick back to my roots, to give people that don't really have so much money, that don't really have a good place to live. I will give them a good place to live at, obviously at a good price, at a decent price. That's the goal.
Beautiful. And tell me something. What within development? What is really? So you're talking more about condos, right? That's mostly what you are focusing on. But tell me something. If you could tell a little bit, because we had a lot of conversations about this. If you could tell people your age what you've learned in the last month or two about what is the next step, and what is, meaning, because you have big dreams, right? You have like those huge dreams and everything, and that is what you have to have. You have to have big goals. But the question is, how do you break it? And that's what we learned. How do you break it down in compartments and to make it possible? like you make phase one, phase two, phase three, et cetera, in order to get that big goal. Because some people make it huge, some people make it big, some people make it medium, and that's all
Mhm.
good. We don't know what our destiny, but everybody has to put the most effort and crush it and get it done. So where are you now in terms of the goal, and what are your, I would say, short-term goals? We heard your long-term goals, short-term goals. Where are you going?
Exactly. So this mentor of mine that I saw in New Jersey, when I spoke to him a few months ago, trying to see if I can manage his properties, he said, "Listen, right now because of COVID, everything is all over the place. The best advice I would give to you is gain knowledge, take a course, take." Like he said for himself, he took the real estate broker's course. He didn't finish it, but it was a good start to get a glimpse of what essentially goes on, knowing the terms, knowing laying that foundation. And so I happened to be stumbling upon LinkedIn and saw you, and one thing led to the next. And
Nothing like LinkedIn, baby.
yeah,
LinkedIn, great.
exactly. But I really think it's from above. Like I was just thinking about it. I was looking at different things, and all of a sudden, we met. It wasn't a coincidence. And
Thank God.
again, the first step was knowledge. So obviously, getting into the course, learning, reading articles, speaking to people who are in the industry.
Very
And
important.
yes, gaining a sort of an outsider, but also an insider perspective on what really goes on. And the next step after obviously learning, continuing to learn, is for me getting my feet wet, getting into the industry, whether it be through property management, through construction, through syndicating, something that I can get my foot in. And I've been working on something, and Zad Hashem, with I hope that we'll be able to work out. So obviously, getting some sort of internship, some sort of job, getting a track record. It doesn't matter if it's for free or it's for a little bit of money. It's something to get your foot through the door. That's the most
Exactly, and
important
that's and
thing.
that's basically how you start. I want everybody to listen. That's what being relentless means. It means that you go and start. You don't have to like look. Okay, what type of a salary am I going to get in day one? No, that's not what your thing is. It's obviously different when a person has a family with 4 or 5 kids, or 3 kids, or 2 kids. It doesn't matter. But when you're young, when you are young, not married yet, you're still in college, or you are just out of college, you're not married yet, and you have that ability to actually work on yourself, on your self development, this is not the time to look for the money. It's the time to look for knowledge and experience. That is what you have to look for. And that's what Elon is doing. And that's awesome. And that's what people have to do. And that's what everybody who's getting in, who wants to get into real estate, especially commercial real estate. And I want to make sure that you understand the difference. Elon said he wants to become a developer. Become a developer, and he's not talking about building houses. And we know each other, so I'm saying, feel free to say it. Elon wants to build buildings. He wants to build large buildings of condos, and to help other people have a beautiful experience, living experience. And it doesn't come from wishing. It comes from educating yourself, and it comes from actually moving along with the experience. But how are you going to, and the big question is, how are you going to get experience when you're young and nobody wants you? Okay? When nobody wants you. So the first thing is, and Elon, if you could tell everybody the first thing you did, you already said it. I just want to make sure that everybody understands it. What is the first thing you did when you understood you need to move forward? The first thing you did.
So the first thing I did was get my hands on knowledge, get my hands on courses. I used to go on YouTube and look at these just some YouTubers to get some basic information on just the basic terms. What is equity? What is a mortgage? What is an investment property? What is what is a finance loan? All these
Right.
basic terms that we think we know, but maybe we don't really know them. I was taking notes. I was learning from this guy, Chris Crone. Watching a lot of his videos, taking
Right.
down a lot of notes, going to just different mentors, asking them questions about what he's saying, getting other people's opinion that are in the industry. And
Right. And then he told me this, listen, this is great, but this is about mostly single family homes. I want to know commercial real estate.
yes,
And then he came to play. The one thing, sorry for interrupting, but it's very important for me to point out the fact that once you came in and watching YouTube videos is awesome. Thanks for YouTube. Thank God for YouTube, because YouTube is just great. It's such an amazing source of education. And you know what, for every single thing in the world, you have YouTube. You know, my daughters, they want to know how to do the hair, they go to YouTube. You know, my son wants to know how to play a game, they goes to YouTube. Everything is YouTube, right? We have Rabbi Google, we have Mr. YouTube, we have everybody. And exactly. And YouTube is awesome. You could do so many things with YouTube. YouTube is great. But when it comes to really promoting yourself in a way that you have real progress, okay? Then YouTube is a scattered information. Like you said, a little bit about this, a little bit about that, and that's great. But when you want to start establishing yourself, that's why you went and did courses. But the next thing I want to talk about and ask you is the next thing you actually did was to actually find experience. How we spoke about this a lot. So meaning a lot of people heard it from me. And what did you learn about getting experience, and how, and if you could tell everybody your age and people older and younger, how are you planning to gain experience? You just said it, but I want you to actually put the emphasis on it.
sure.
The point, and what's the method of getting experience?
So I'm 23 years old.
You're old, man. You're old.
I'm
Just
old,
kidding.
old but young.
Not old. You're young.
I'm young.
You're
I'm
young.
young. Yes, I'm
Go ahead.
grateful to have the time, and what I think, well, obviously, is to translate into that is to put yourself out there, to not be scared to get rejected. People saying no. I had a lot of people I spoke to, general contractors, managers, real estate managers, all these different people asking, listen, like, I'll work for free. I'll do anything. Just give me a shot. I have experience to back it up. It's not like I'm coming here into the industry not knowing anything, knowing something. Just give me a shot. And it would just be, for me, my advice, again, you need to speak with people. You need to put yourself out there. You need to remind those people. So for something that I have right now, that I'm possibly a job that I'm going into, I didn't just go into it alone. I asked the people around me, what do they think about this? What kind of questions I should ask this guy, or how should I go about doing it like this way? And so people that are in the industry, like you and all the people that I know that have been fortunate enough to speak to and to keep updated as well, because everyone wants to help each other out. People know that they've had a hard beginning, they've had to do what they had to do, and they are where they are now is because they were relentless. Like you said, they in a sense took the gloves off and did the work that had to be done. And the best lesson I could learn from that was being in the army. I didn't know the language so much. I didn't know the culture so much. I didn't know a lot of things. I came in there and I said, I'm going to put myself out on the line, and I'm going to see what happens. And
Tell us a little bit about it. How was it, by the way? What you just started talking about this? The army
Yes.
taught you stuff, right?
yes,
How was it? Meaning, what made you want to go to the army as a kid who was in America? What made me want to go to the army, especially in Israel? What made you want to go there? And how was it? How was it?
of course. So to make a long story short, actually,
I also was in the army, but it was a long time ago. I managed to forget. My son is now in the army. But anyways, tell us a little bit.
So throughout my life, my mom, she's Israeli, so I always had summers going to Israel, seeing family. I have a lot of family over there, and I remember I was 14. I was getting into shape. I was a fat kid. I was not so confident, and I remember going to Israel, and I was a different person. I was in sports. I was working out, and I wanted to show my cousin, which was older than me at the time. He was in the army. like this kid, like my Elon that you see now is not the fat Elon that you could pick on before.
Right.
And when I saw him in the uniform with his gun, and he was an officer in the same unit that I was in. And from that moment on, it sort of, how would I say, it was in the back of my head. I looked at him and I said, wow, I want to do that one day. Sort of like a child's dream at 13, 14 years old. He doesn't know any better. and and going throughout high school, going through public school, going through America, everyone has sort of like this, how would I say, this paved road, especially where I come from, that everyone, you have to finish high school, you have to go to college, you have to go to college and get your degree, you have to get your degree, get a job. I didn't like that path. For some reason I said this is not for me. It was already going through 4 years of high school was annoying for me. Even though I was a good student, I was good grades, good student. And I said I want to do something different. I want to do something out there, but I just don't know what it is. And it wasn't until I went to Poland, and my grandfather, may rest in peace, he was a Holocaust survivor. He survived. He was in Auschwitz, both Auschwitz, and his story in itself is a miracle. And when I went there with my brother on this journey, I saw all of these different things, and after that trip, I came back home, came back to school, back into the regular schedule. But I said to myself, I have to do something more. There's something that's calling me. I have to do something in Israel. I just don't know what it is. And at the time, I was debating whether to go to the army, whether to study study Jewish Talmudic law. And I remember speaking to a friend, and he served in the army, was older than me, sort of like a mentor in a way. And he said, listen, this army is X, Y, and Z. It's not what you think it is. I don't recommend you going there. It's not a place that it's sort of a place that they'll eat you up and spit you out if you're not the way that
You're not tough enough.
Yeah, if you're not tough enough.
Yes.
I said, listen, I'm not coming into this for the glamour and the glory. I'm not coming in this to post some sort of picture that, oh, I did this. No, I'm coming here because there's deeper reasons, and I want to do my part. I want to be a part of something bigger. And going into the end of high school, senior year, I saw that I was becoming more connected to that. I was looking at all these different units, still speaking to this guy, and trying to get my parents on board. Luckily, my mom, she served in the army as well. So with her, it was very easy.
She gave you a few tips.
He gave me a few tips, but more importantly, she supported me. Her and my dad. My dad was a little hard to get along. My dad is American, so he's sort of like an Ashkenazi mom that he worries all the time a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
he had a tough time.
So all of a sudden, when his son is saying, "Listen, I don't want to go to school. I want to go fight and join the army," it's a little bit of a shock. But again, taking that responsibility and making that decision, that's the most important thing. Making that decision and sticking to it, which that's what led me to be in Israel, and it led me to have a great service. I was the outstanding soldier of my platoon. I didn't really know any Hebrew going into it. All I knew was one thing. I remember I said on the airplane, I wrote this down. I said, I'm going to put my everything on the table. I'm not going to go cry home for help. This is just me. It's my decision. It's my responsibility. And that's it. I'm putting it on the line. And whatever happens, whether for the good or for the bad, I'm going to handle it in the best possible way that I can.
What a beautiful lesson. Really,
Yes.
What a beautiful lesson for everybody to understand that you have to be relentless. And the one thing that really got me impressed at the time is that you reached out to me. And I want everybody to listen very, very carefully. And you could share it with your friends. What did you do in order to get to me? Elon, actually, what did he do? Contacted me on LinkedIn. You know, a lot of people contact me on LinkedIn. Tons of people contact me on LinkedIn. But, you know, you never know. It just shows you that you cannot give up. You never know who is going to answer. I contacted a lot of people in the past on LinkedIn that I really wanted connections with. A lot of people didn't ignore me. A lot of people ignored me. A lot of people answered me that they can't. And then all you need is one or two or three people at the time who would tell you, listen, this is interesting. Let's talk. Let's move forward on the deal. Let's move forward on this combination of the JV, whatever it is. And that is such an amazing thing. Such an amazing thing. So Ilan, what I want to do is to thank you for coming up here and sharing your story and sharing your passion for it and sharing your questions. Do you have any particular question that you want to share, that you want to ask me before you get off, so I can tell everybody?
Of course. I just, for obviously the young guys out there, I just wanted to ask you, when you were starting out, what are some tips or advice that you can give besides what we've spoken about when you've got in already? What are some things, some challenges that you had and how you overcame those? And obviously you coming in at a later age, just like what were some of the challenges and how you overcame those when you were just starting out?
1 second, let me just answer. There's a guy who wants to come on the show. Before I answer you,
Sure.
I'm just sending him the link for the StreamYard. 1 second. 1 second. Okay, I'm with you. So the answer for that question is my story is obviously a lot harder. Okay, and one day I'm going to write a book about this. My challenges were by far a lot more. Okay, you're talking about the year, meaning I fell in love with real estate. Always liked it from a distance. I never knew anything about it as a businessman or anything. But I came from a point where, look at you, for example, look how much you know right now. Even before you started the courses and stuff, you came with some basic knowledge. And actually, you encouraged me to do more courses that are more basic for the people who know less. Because today, we tend, meaning being a professional today and dealing with people, my peers and people who are in that level, we tend to forget how much we did not know. And that is the key. How do you help a person in the beginning? You have to remember how much you really didn't know. And you help me remember that along as with other young people. And I think that my struggle was that I didn't really have a system. There was no system that I was able. A lot of people said, okay, join NYU SHAP, which is an awesome school for commercial real estate. But what can I do if I work in America and live in Israel and I don't have the budget for it? And I have kids, 5 kids, and I have a job full time plus, okay, and I'm flying every couple of weeks to America back and forth. So that's not a solution. So what do? You take courses. And at the time, the courses were not that fancy. So in order to get from a real estate position to commercial real estate position, which is from here to there, and that's what we spoke about, all those videos on YouTube that mostly focus, some of them are informative about commercial real estate, but many of them are not, are actually focusing on real estate, on the residential aspect, which is great. But what if it's not your passion? What if you want to be a developer like Ilan? And what if you want to be like you developer like you want to be an operator? What if you want to own multifamily units? What if you want to have what if you want to be a retail guy or do hotels or warehouses? Now it's in the fashion to do warehouses. Then what are you going to do? And the answer is meaning if you don't have a graduate degree, you can't really do it unless you have a family that is really connected. So you go to your uncle, your father, your uncle, your whatever. You say, hey, come join in. Let's. I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of your business. And they say, cool, come, and I'll take you in, no problem, because you're family or you're the son of my very good friend. What if you're not in that circle? What if you're not a part of it? And for me personally, that was really hard. I didn't know where to start and where to go and how to do it. And the answer is you have to be relentless. You have to really be relentless. And you have to keep on calling, keep on doing, keep on getting, keep on showing up until you find the opening, and you have to be humble. I was 36 years old, and meaning was pretty much in a pretty high position where I was in the educational world, and all of a sudden to start from scratch, literally from scratch, being like on the bottom of the pit, anywhere I go, and being willing to actually do a lot, that was, for me, that was very hard, but that was a humbling experience, and that gave me tons. That really gave me tons, and that was really great. And that to answer your question, so that is what motivated me to do all these actions today, because I didn't have it. And I'm thinking about people not only my age, but people your age who are trying to get in, who don't have the resources to go into this, graduate school or anything like that, and so on. So that is the key, and that is the thing. Um, so that is the answer. The answer was step by step, relentless. I had to call, actually, just to make you understand, people who I knew from the industry while I started selling condos, and I didn't
Mhm.
really know commercial real estate on that level. I asked them, they said, will you be able to go raise, or will be able to go get deals, or you'll be able to go connect me with that person? You can't go connect anyone to anyone or do anything with anyone if you don't know anything. And I
Mhm.
sat in a room. I remember sitting in a room with connecting two people, and they're talking about, are you usually GPs or LPs? Are you doing are you syndicators, or are you sponsors? Are you this? I had no idea what they're talking about. I felt like, what is this? And in order not to feel it says, if you want to be, sometimes it's like you go to the store, you want to buy something, and you don't want to appear stupid asking stupid questions, right? So you say as little as you can. So you just don't say anything. So that was me. I didn't say anything, just not to sound stupid. But with the time, I started, slowly but surely, I started to getting into it, teaching myself, etc. Self education is the key, and pushing yourself forward alongside, meaning education, doing, education,
Education,
doing,
doing.
education, doing. You can't do one more than the other, because if you do too much education without doing anything, you're not doing anything. What are you going to
Yeah.
do? Do nothing. But if you are doing more, and we spoke about this several times, then you actually educate yourself, then you run into, sometimes, into major trouble, and that is dangerous. So you have to really know how to monetize it and to be relentless. And that's it. That's the key. And that's what I
Amazing.
learned on my skin. So that's to answer you. Ilan, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to bring someone else on, okay? And that'll be a pleasure. Yehuda, how
Hi,
are
good
you, my
morning.
man? Good morning.
Great.
Ilan, we're going to say goodbye to Ilan
Of
now.
course, of
Ilan,
course, of
thank you so
course.
much. Go back to your stuff, and I'm gonna speak to Yehuda a little bit. Thank you
Sure.
so much for your time. Appreciate
Of
it.
course. Thank you.
Yehuda, how are
So
you, my man?
I'm
Pleasure.
great. Good morning. Thank you so
Good
much
morning.
for having me on here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. That's the purpose. The purpose is to have anyone but anyone. Usually on Mondays or Thursdays, I either talk or bring distinguished guests on the call. It's not like you are not distinguished, you are, but the purpose is to bring experts. And I really wanted to do this, and I'm going to start doing this a little bit more often. Obviously, not every other day, but um, I want to help people. I want to get people to come and to be able to ask their questions and to be able to get some confidence, because I know how it was in the beginning for me. And that's why I created those programs, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And it's free. It's time to give. That's what it is. It's time to give. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are
So
you
so
from?
so first of all, I actually know Elon really well. We go to the same school, and we're
Amazing.
great friends. Yeah, and I actually reached out to you because I saw him posting about this event. And then you got me on here and
Amazing.
everything. So thank you for that. So I born and grew up in Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn now. Go to Baruch College. I'm a full time student, and I also work at a group home for people with autism, which takes up a lot of my time. And I'm pretty active in like Jewish life at school as well. So
That's amazing.
thank you. So I've really only recently started getting more. Taking a deeper look at my career goals, and trying to figure out what I want to do with my career. So I started off, studying marketing. Decided I want to do finance because marketing doesn't pay at all. And then I decided that finance is boring and I'd like to do real estate. um, you
Good
know,
choice, buddy.
thank you. So I've always been interested in real estate as kind of a personal investment, as kind of like single family homes or small multi-family. Haven't really done that much research yet into the commercial space, into like large multifamily and stuff like that. But I think that as kind of an avenue towards my own personal success, real estate is a great career to go into.
So first of all, kudos to that. I think it's a good choice. In general, commercial real estate has tons of advantages. So tell us a little bit about now that you are thinking of going into this field, what are your next steps? And I'm here for any questions you want to ask, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. So first steps are obviously just getting some knowledge, stuff like Wall Street Oasis and different podcasts, and just gaining knowledge about terminology and different like rules of thumb or whatever it is, and just rules in general about how to conduct business in commercial real estate. I know that it took me a little while to get all the information about the non-commercial real estate, the residential real estate. So hopefully there's some overlap. But yeah, just basically just knowledge, and then obviously just reaching out to people. I've reached out to a couple of people through LinkedIn. I got connected with one mentor through a program at Baruch. A great guy, amazing.
Great, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, just basically building connections and then building knowledge. And then once I get there, I can start to try to offer something to other people as either unpaid or paid internship or a job or whatever. Once I have that base knowledge.
So first of all, this is exactly right. Meaning the track that you are looking at right now, and to get the basic knowledge. And the way I say it is the following way, to give you a little bit of a value, I would say educational ladder. Okay, that's how it goes. And residential, by the way, is something that everybody goes after because it's so out there, it's so available, it's so approachable, as opposed to commercial. Everybody's looking at residential because residential. I just want 1 second, if you allow me. I just want to see, my connection is getting a little bit tough. I just want to make sure that things are not going to go berserk on me. 1 second. I want to make sure that no one around me is using the internet. So hold on. Well, 1 second. I just want to make sure really no one's using the internet around me, so I can have a clear connection and smooth connection. Okay. Very, very cool. Looks good. So anyway, so the ladder works the following way. First of all, you have the residential. Everybody's getting to the residential. It's so approachable. It's out there. It's somewhere that it's on the net, just like Ilan said. You watch YouTube videos all over the place. It's available, okay? And people start with terminology. What is equity and what is a mortgage, and how do you calculate those things, and how do you look at a deal of a single family home, et cetera, et cetera. And then comes to play the fact that people have the passion to come into commercial real estate, which means commercial real estate is a word that is not only commercial buildings like retail or office buildings. Commercial real estate is any property that has 5 units of residential and up and above, okay? Meaning up to 4 units, it's a residential. And I'm going to put the emphasis on the following aspect. When the bank is looking at a up to 4 unit deal, the bank is looking at it as you. If you are the person who brings the deal, they look at you. What is your financial status? They want to see all your finances. They want to see everything about you. When it comes to the 5 units and up, and it goes up to 5,000 units, doesn't matter. It becomes, in the eyes of the bank, of course they look at you. Of course that there are requirements about the person, but it's 80%, the 80-20 rule, it's 80% the deal. It's 80% is the deal viable. If up to 4 units, the deal is less important. How are your finances? What type of job do you have? What type of business do you have? How your income is the main thing, is the 80%. When in a 5 units and above, all of a sudden it becomes, it's the deal. How much the deal is making, and that is the focus of the bank. And that's also the focus of the investors. They care about you as a track record. How can you do it? what can you do, how is it done, or who are your partners that maybe they can do it for you, etc. But they want to see that the deal is good. The deal has to be a good deal. It's a business. And that is the focus on the difference between commercial real estate, etc. And that's why the value, meaning the educational ladder, is, first of all, what is it? What is it? What is the difference between that type of deal and that type of deal? It's in very general perspective. And that's why my educational program is built like that. What is it? Why is this different than this? Why is this different than that? And what type of a deal is that deal? And financing for commercial real estate, why is it so different? Very basic stuff, very general things, just to give people, this comfort of understanding that they are not clueless anymore. And this is very important. I remember being there, and this is not a fun place to be. But once they got to that, they say, okay, now I understand that there are all kinds of things. Now I want to know what's NOI. Now I want to know what's IRR. Now I want to know what's, a cap rate and how it's being calculated and how it's being, taken into the commercial real estate zone. I want to know all these things. Now I want to know how to structure a deal. Now I understand pretty much what the GP is. What does the LP do? What do they do? And then comes a program that tells you basics. Like in a couple of weeks, you learn all the terminologies. You learn what this does, everything, and so on and so forth. And once people get to that point that they are still excited about commercial real estate, they're not overwhelmed anymore, and they still have the passion, because I think that the test of time is the biggest passion, okay? And that's what everybody, when they spoke about Michael Jordan at the time, there was no one like Michael Jordan. There'll never be anyone like Michael Jordan, right? And whether you agree or not, there's never going to be anyone like that, because every time there was a big player that came along, and especially in his era, who everybody said, oh, that's the next guy, he made sure that he will not be the next guy. And I think that the main thing was not his relentless part of his competition only against that person, but it was the fact, what we call the test of time. The test of time shows that anyone who doesn't have that stamina, that ability to hold on, to hold up with those, with the difficulties, with the hardship, with all these things, can't stay there. And it all depends. Of course, in sports, it's different, because you need to have, you need to be in shape, you need to have talent, you need to be competitive, and so on and so forth. But in work and business, it starts first and foremost, start with a passion. If you don't like what you do, if you are not into commercial real estate eventually, if you did it for 2 years, or you started for 2 years, and it's not for you, you're not going to do it. You're not going to survive in this business. This is a tough business. And the idea is that you have to love it. You have to have this passion. Like Elon said, I want to build, I want to do these things. And that's a passion. And that's why you learn what it is. And then you learn some terminologies. And then you learn some basics. And then and then you have a course that actually is, like, for example, a 20+ hour course that actually gets you, every session is not 10 minutes or 30 or 20 or 5 or that kind of a thing. Every session is anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half. It's already longer, and you have to hold your head together, and you can't do it in one day. And you have to keep at it. And that is already in a place where you really want to build a career, whether you want to be a big investor, passive, you want to build a fund, you want to be ahead of a hedge fund, or you want to be ahead of a REIT, or maybe you want to be a sponsor, meaning the guy who does the deal. You want to be a developer or an operator. You want to own multifamily units. You want to own retail. Today is not a good deal to own retail, but retail will come back in some form or another. And but you want to understand this, and requires a lot of brain power and a lot of studying, a lot of learning. And you have to be relentless in terms of your connection. You have to go to these networking events. That today everything is like this. Is this medium. So that is, I think, the value, meaning the educational ladder goes through a little bit, a little more, a lot more, a lot more, a lot more. And then people get into these, professional classes of development or acquisitions, where they learn in-depth stuff. And that's already for the pros, meaning people who want to get better and better where they are right now. So that's I think, the educational ladder. So to tell you exactly what it is, first of all, kudos to that, meaning you are you found a mentor. That's amazing. I think the next step is finding a place to actually have an internship. Okay. All the while having the real courses, the real education. You don't have to, meaning if you have the patience and the time and the money to go to, NYU Shack, do that. If not, then you take courses. You have a lot of courses. You don't have to take mine. You can take mine. You can take other people's. There's so many things out there that you can do that can actually get you to grow. Okay, actually get you to grow. That is incredible. That is really a benefit. Tell me something. I want to ask you the next question. If you could tell us a little bit about where are you now in terms of the ladder that we're speaking about.
So I think that I did get a bunch of knowledge from learning about residential real estate. So I think that I'm not at zero, but I'm definitely I haven't really like dug down deep into the intricacies of commercial real estate. So like things like cap rate, NOI, that is applied to residential real estate, but it's obviously much simpler when dealing with just smaller scale.
Right. Tell me something. When you look at this, what is your meaning? Of course, now it's a little far away in the game, but what is your passion really when it comes to those? Where do you want to be? What do you want to really do in commercial real estate?
So
in the
so
end
my
of the day.
Yeah, so my passion really is just people, just connecting people, helping people. I also like to.
You're broken up a little bit.
Is better now?
1 second, you're back. Can you see me clear, by the way? You see me clear?
Yeah.
Okay, you're broken up a little bit. Okay, good. Okay, go back. Yeah. Go ahead.
So my passion is really just people, connecting with people, helping people, and so I really just want to be part of a people business, whether that's in acquisitions, whether that's in some kind of like tech space where creating a new form of real estate to help combat homelessness, or whatever that may look like. So I don't have a clear a definitive finish line right now, but I know that I just want to like deal with people a lot and help them.
Awesome. So first of all, that's I think this is the most noble type of a thing, meaning to know that you want to help people, because everything comes down to the customer, right? Meaning every business eventually, people think that it's about the product, and it's not about the product. It's totally not about the product. It's about helping people. If you have the passion of helping people, you will win. And why is that? Because we have so many businesses that extinct, right? Because people fell in love with their own product, and that's the fault of everybody. Everybody falls in love with what they do, right? But in the end of the day, it's the product. It's the person that you want to help, your customer, and it's people, and that's what at the end of the day it is. So the person who was looking, for example, for co-working spaces, those things that might be extinct now because of COVID, and we will see what happens to them. But they want to help people. They want to make sure that people who can't afford a real office can sit somewhere and can actually work and get out of the house at the time when it was relevant, and so on and so forth. And that different types of hotels serve different types of people. The one wants the more luxurious type, and want the basic because it just needs a bed. It needs to get up in the morning and get out of there. And he needs a place to sleep in a very, affordable type of a setting. So that is the customer that you're looking at. What are you going to build? Who is your customer? Who is the customer that you want to help? And I think that is the key. And I can suggest to you, I can give you the suggestion that the next step, your next step right now, should be the next level of education. And because you just said that you came out of the residential, I would say the residential, system, I would call it. Okay. And now you want to get into the CRE systems, commercial real estate system. The first thing you have to do is the next level of education, the next level of what to do with it. And you have to really understand yourself, where you are, and where you are, what are you missing, and to understand where you want to go. So you can consult with peers like Elon or anyone. You can ask me, you can ask anyone you want, your mentors, and to understand what the next thing you want to learn. And to also ask yourself, and that is the key. The key is to ask yourself, how much time are you willing and able to put into the next level of education? Meaning, will a course of 7 day, like my 7 day challenge, would that be a thing? Will a course of 2 weeks, like a crash course, would do it? Would a full blast course of like 8 week course do it? Something like that. Meaning, where are you in terms of your timing and tests and finals, in order to put the time and effort for these things? That is something only you can answer. No one else can answer. I think this is the thing. Once you know the answer to, you can answer yourself those things, you'll be able to move on.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. And it's definitely it's really an investment in myself, which is it's both the time and the money. That's just the investment in myself, and the greatest investment you can make is in yourself.
Exactly. I can tell you that the books that I've read, because at the time I didn't have any courses like that, okay? But the books that I've read, they gave me a world. Meaning, think about it. A book that costs you, what, $15, sometimes $80, sometimes $60, doesn't matter, and gave you a career. How crazy is that? Or helped you give a career, or a course that cost, let's say, $100 or $200 or $50 or whatever, and then gave you a career that actually paid you $150,000 a year after a couple of years. Wouldn't be worth it? Or made you a guy who does deals and could actually make you a few millions of dollars, potentially hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and potentially bring you to another place. Wouldn't it be worth it? And that's why self-education, financial education, is so crucial and so important. And thank you for that. That is, I think, the most important part. Alongside, once you accomplish this goal, I tell you that you will have to get attached to a company and tell them, just like Elon basically is doing right now, and I'm telling him to do, and is to go to companies and tell them, here's my basic knowledge. You can't come clueless. You can't come clueless. And here's my basic knowledge. I don't know a lot, but I know that. I know that's not a lot, but here's what I know. Here's what I learned. And I want to start from the bottom. I want to do anything but anything in the bottom. And if you're getting into a good organization, and that is a different conversation already, what type of organization is better or worse, or more fitting or not, it depends on your passion or anyone's passion. That would be the next step. That's how you go. And alongside, you take the next level of education, next level of action, next level of education, etc.
So kind of like a two-hand hold, are we going up with the right hand of education, and also with the left hand of experience, one kind of.
Exactly. You can't do, obviously in the beginning will be much more education. You can't do anything before you get some knowledge, okay? But once you get to that level of knowledge, you have to start actually doing. And the only way of doing in your position, unless you have money, if you have money, that's great. You can maybe do your own deals. And the only way I tell people who have the ability, some people can come from families, they don't know much real estate. The family doesn't do real estate. Maybe they do diamonds, but they have the passion for real estate and they trying to get in and they want to start investing right away. I tell them, listen, first educate yourself. And then if you want to try out, I would do it with a joint venture with someone else, and don't use other people's money. Use your money. Lose your money first, okay? Don't syndicate before you get some real experience. And that is so important. But people who don't have, and that's most people who are reaching out to me, people who have those connections, they get to this great uncle who gets them into this company and they can start off. But when you got nothing or not enough to start in commercial real estate, And that's the career you want. You want to build something that will be in 20 years major. Okay, whether you're going to be a part of a company or you're going to be the company or you're going to be the guy who does it. You got to start somewhere, and the only way to start somewhere is to educate yourself and then get into a corporation or organization or even a small company where you position yourself, where you have this full spectrum of knowledge that is related to your passion and to give you this boost to go and move forward. And that is the key. That is the key. That is how you do it. Can you hear me? I think you got frozen on me here. Yehuda?
Yes, I'm sorry, my connection must be off.
Yeah.
Can you hear
You're
me?
back. You're back.
Okay.
So, any last thoughts or any additional thoughts? Any questions you have? Real questions they want to ask me? Shoot. That's what we're here.
So I just want to ask you, what's your favorite book for real estate investing, commercial real estate investing, just people, business?
That is a very, very tough question. Very tough question. There's so many books out there. I'm trying to think which one is my favorite actually to do it. Nothing that comes to mind. I have to go to my shelf and start pulling things out to see what I got over there because it's been a while. There's, specifically, I'm not prepared for that question actually. And I have a book about financing that I'll be happy to put it on the second, maybe if because I'm at home. So if my son is actually around, I'm going to tell him to pull it out for me and bring it to me. That I think is a great book to get some information, technical information. First of all, you have two types of books you have to understand. You have those books that are more giving you the inspiration of how people built their businesses, how people did what they did, whatever it is. And then you have those books that actually are technical, okay? Like, for example, I'm reading right now a book, meaning I'm in the middle of reading a book, and that's not so much for a beginner. It's obviously for people who are professionals for several years at least. That is the planning and development of hotels and resorts. It's just something that I wanted, to get into in terms of knowledge at least. So right now I'm diving into it, and that's my thing that I'm studying right now. But you start with multifamily. I forgot the name of the book. There's one book that you have to read. And I apologize, I just don't remember the name. I'm very bad with names. It's one of the things that I'm bad at. I heard it actually in a podcast on the, what's the name? I forgot even the name of the podcast. The very famous podcast. No, the Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets podcast. They spoke about that book. I don't remember the name of the book. It's a great book about multifamily. I think that is something. I'm going to try to post it. And I'm going to send it to you also personally. That is definitely something that you have to read. I have a finance book that is not bad for beginners. I read it way back in the day. And for me, the very, very beginning, I read a lot of technical books about finances. Okay. Some of the books were bad. Some of the books were good. There was, first of all, there's another thing that I remember. First of all, learning about investing in general is very helpful also for real estate. You start understanding terminologies. So anything that Warren Buffett has out there, that is very good. The Ben Graham book, what's his name? The Intelligent Investor, is not related to real estate, but will expand your knowledge like tenfold. Okay. That is very good. One thing that really gave me tons of knowledge, I have a book about retail, meaning I got into it later on, but in the beginning, it gave me tons of information about this field. Okay, it really gave me tons. And I read a book, actually at the time it was in Hebrew. Okay, it was in Hebrew. And the book was, what was that? The book was actually commercial real estate. Like in general, all over the world, commercial real estate in general. It was really a great book because it gave all the stuff about it. And the guy's Israeli, and he just wrote really tremendous. I don't think it was so successful in the book. He gave it to me, actually. He just gave me the book. And I read it and I was like, this stuff is great. It's awesome. And I was I remember I was already knowing what I'm doing, but I really appreciated that knowledge. So I'll definitely, please be in touch with me. I'll try to find those books and try to send you. The first books I read were not so much commercial real estate, a little bit about it, but not too much, with Robert Kiyosaki, but they are not for commercial real estate. That's everybody who's starting up is reading. I haven't looked at that stuff for probably more than 10 years, meaning because it's awesome for starting up, for getting inspired, for getting some knowledge and getting understanding the basics. But once you step out of that residential aspect and start getting into the commercial aspect, because he talks about it a little bit, then you start getting out of that. You start getting away from that because you need a lot more higher end stuff. But I can tell you that none of the books that I have read at the time was turnkey top to bottom. It was like finance. I give you an example. I wanted to understand construction management or construction. I wanted to understand that. Because I have passion for development. So I said to myself, cool, I want to get into that. Where do I learn it? I tried to find books, couldn't find anything proper. And that was years ago. So I went to the NYU Shack. I put online on Google, what's an NYU Shack curriculum? And pulled out a book. It was not cheap. It's just like in school. I had to buy this expensive book, hardcover book, and I ordered it and I read it cover to cover, and that's it. Some of it was really interesting, some of it was really boring, but it was how do you say? It was interesting. It was really cool. In the end of the day, I learned tons. Some of the things were not so relevant. I had no intention to become a construction manager, because for that you have to go to school and you have to become really either an engineer or whatever. But in terms of I wanted to be from I would say the bird's eye view of a developer, to understand what this guy does, or this person does. And I really wanted to know in depth what is the role, so I can speak to those people and tell them, and it helped me tons. Down the road, when I met with construction managers, all of a sudden, those things came up. I started asking questions that I didn't know but all of a sudden I thought, where did I see it? Oh my gosh, I read it in that book years and years and years ago, when I didn't know anything and I just got the passion for it. So these are bits and pieces that you read. And I didn't have a course that gives a lot in a little, okay? So that is the advantage of what you have today. But still, if you want to be professional about retail, you'll have to read a lot about retail. If you want to be professional in multifamily, you'll have to do a lot of, that's why it's a macro to micro. It's a lot to learn a lot and then get to the focus. And that is the key.
Yeah. Thank you. And it sounds like you really kind of niched down. Like later on, you're starting with like the top of the funnel type stuff with Kiyosaki. Just the basics, and then really getting more and more niche down as you went on.
Exactly, and that, I think, this is the key for anything. And this is okay. Someone wrote me some creepy message here. I just want to make sure that either I block that person or whatever. It's like weird. 1 second. I'm just going to go on my LinkedIn for 1 second. But anyways, this is the key, and that's what it is. Let me see if I can bring someone else also on the show. Yuda, do you have any other question for me? I'd appreciate to hear.
No, I'll definitely shoot you a message after the show.
I'll send you a list of books. It's my pleasure to do that. And look at my programs also. That could help you. And look at other programs also. And make sure that you educate yourself. That's the most important thing for you right now. I think that's your phase. That's where you are right now. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Take care of yourself. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're still here. We're still around. I just want to make sure I am here. Is Nadav is going to come up in a second. And 1 second, Nadav. 1 second, Adav. I just want to make sure I do something important here. 1 second. Are we still on? Yeah, we're still on. We're still on. Just 1 second here. I want to get on and make sure that someone here. Okay, cool. Want to give me 1 second. Mickey, I hear and see you. What's up, my man? I'd love to have you on if you want. After this person that's coming up right now, and that is Nadav, and I'm going to bring him up right now, and that is my pleasure. Nadav, how are you, my man?
Good. How are you?
How are you? Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Good. Very good. Good morning. How's everything?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very good, Baruch Hashem. How's everything?
Oh, excellent, excellent. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? You're
All right.
live.
So I'm a Queens College student. I'm a sophomore. I'm currently learning finance in Queens College, and I'm planning on taking on a law degree at the end. Hopefully pursuing a degree in real estate with a real estate lawyer, and eventually going into the field, into commercial real estate.
Amazing. How old are you, by the way?
Me, I'm 19 years old.
Amazing. Listen, guys, you see, you can't be too young to love this field and to get a passion to
Never
get into
too
it.
early.
You can't be too young. Tell me
Never
something.
too early.
What gives you the bug? Got you the bug to get into this field?
The whole business concept. I love the negotiation, how the process works with real estate, just everything around it is just very interesting to me. How it's like everything is more deals, more negotiations, more it's like buying low, selling at the right time, knowing what you're doing, strategies. I find it very fascinating, very interesting.
Really cool. Really cool. So where are you holding right now in your life? Where are you? In Queens College?
Right now,
studying law?
Queens College, studying finance.
Studying finance.
Finance. Hopefully
Okay. Which year are you?
Me, I'm a sophomore. I'm going into my second semester as sophomore year.
Amazing. And tell me something. How much of real estate you got so far? Meaning, when was the point that you decided, hey, real estate is my thing, that's what I want to do, I want to get into that? When did you get to that point?
Once my father started to look into real estate, once my father decided to start taking up some real estate deals, some projects of his own, I started really looking into it, really starting to ask him questions, starting to really try to get to know the field.
Amazing. What type of deals he does? If you don't have to share if he's a very private guy, but
no, it's fine. He flips houses. He does rentals.
So that's very cool to talk about this, because that's a little bit different of commercial real estate, right? It's a little bit of a different type of a thing. I'm just as I'm speaking to you, I'm just sending someone the link. 1 second, let me just write him. Let's say give me 1 second. We are at 10:45 right now. Approximately, let's say at 11:10. Okay, cool. Very cool. Okay, sorry, I'm with you. I'm back. So, so you're saying flipping house. So flipping houses, just to make sure you understand, everybody on the show understands. Flipping houses is a very desirable type of a field. People make a lot of money on it, without a doubt. But that is the residential part, and it's not so much of a commercial real estate part. The advantage of it is that it's approachable and everybody can do it. It's not a lot to do. You don't need a big team for it. You do a lot of it yourself. You have to get your hands dirty. But the knowledge that you have to have with it is, you have to have a lot of knowledge, obviously, but it's not even a fraction of what you have to know in commercial real estate. Okay? Because commercial real estate is so many moving parts that you have to know, and you have to bring it in. So again, this is also something you have to have knowledge, without a doubt. And you have to know what you're doing, and people who do that a lot, they win. They know how to do it for years. They are so good at this, and they can really do this very well. But commercial real estate requires a lot more education, a lot more knowledge, a lot
Yeah.
of basic knowledge base.
More
So that
behind.
is a huge difference. And another thing that I want to make sure that everybody understands is that the scalability of commercial real estate is tons more, because there's so much you can do. Sorry. There's so much you can do with houses. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many houses can you be spread out on? But when you have one lot with one building, which is a lot of work, that could be compared to 80 houses. You could be at 80 houses. You have one lot, one building, and you know how to do it. And every floor is just like the other floor, or most floors are like the other floors. That makes it much easier in terms of planning, in terms of getting the right permits, in terms of hiring the right professionals. You hire one guy for that one. You don't have to hire millions of guys. You don't have to get millions of mortgages. You get one thing for each thing. And that is a huge advantage of commercial real estate. And that's why the scalability is there. That's why the advantage is there. And also the financing is, even though it's a little bit more challenging sometimes, it is, once you get it done, it's bigger. And that's what we say, think big. That's the idea of think big. What is your passion? What do you want to do when you, in Hebrew, you say, what do you want to do when you grow up,
So like I said, I want to pursue hopefully a law degree and eventually go into real estate right away as soon as possible. Look to make certain money and go straight into investing, get compound interest and passive income. So first increase cash flow, so do flipping houses or looking for certain deal types, anything in real estate.
So for that, I just want to jump in on that and just say my take, because you really, in the end of the day, in the beginning, it starts with education. In the beginning, it starts with what you have to know. And I told that to Yehuda. You have to know from the macro to the micro. What is it? Basic terms, getting a very thorough course, which is what you're doing now. You're taking my course, which is getting to know details and actually know stuff. But eventually, in the end of the day, once you have gained that knowledge and you want to move on, you want to move forward with this career, once you get to that point, you have to focus. That is the key. You have to focus. You have to know what you want to do. You have to know if you want to do multifamily. You have to know if you want to do retail. Maybe you want to be a developer of mixed-use developments, right?
Right.
You want to have this mall with a hotel with this and that. Obviously, that's later in the game. But what is your focus? Where is your focus? What type of market? What type of stuff? Maybe the asset class you want to be in is actually warehousing or trailer homes, or whatever, trailer parks, meaning.
Yeah.
Maybe it's storage, Maybe it's more on the developer side, like Ilan was, he wants to be a developer. Maybe it's on the operational side. I met a guy a few years ago, and I asked him, meaning I met a lot of guys who do operation, but he told me in one sentence, he pretty much put it all there. So he said, I own real estate. He told me the family owned a lot of real estate. I asked him, what do you do exactly? Do you build? Do you this and that? We buy it ready-made. It's called Core Plus, meaning value add, but very, very conservative type of value add, meaning taking deals and make them a little better, just a little bit better, not too much of an aggressive game, but that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for this aggressive thing. They're looking to buy and hold. They want their investment to hold and do well over time and refi forever, and to hold it forever. And that is their game, and that is their passion. That's what they want to do. And some people want to build and do crazy things and, be very active. So you have a different perspective, and that is focus. Because when you are more on the ownership side, have it, own it, you might even have a management company, in-house management company. Maybe that is a part of what you want to do. However, what if you don't want to be a manager? Like I, for example, I have no passion for management, zero. Okay. So any deal that would come my way, whenever it comes my way, is going to be either value add or not. Let's say if I would like to hold on to it, I would hire a third-party management company that is professional at what they do and they know what they're doing. I have no desire of doing that. So that is focus. And that is something that is, so you said anything real estate, eventually you will have to focus.
Right.
Eventually you have to narrow it down.
Right.
Right.
I had a few questions actually.
Go ahead, please. Shoot.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, like, especially according to like the law side of real estate, like what key elements has to be formulated into a contract in a basic.
Oh wow, I'm not the guy to ask, but I'll answer you. Okay.
Okay.
I so stay away from. I'll tell you what. There are a few things that I don't deal with, and that's why I have the best lawyer I can have. Okay. When it comes to law and taxes, accounting, taxes, whatever, all these things, I don't deal with that stuff. And I know pretty much of the benefits. I understand them. I get them, but I do not move an inch. And that is another lesson that you should know. You don't move an inch without the experts. In certain things you have to know more. In certain things you can know less. Even though I have meaning every time that I had an analyst, to my right or left or whatever, I always have to understand myself the numbers. I'm not an analyst, but I understand everything about the numbers. And if I don't know anything, I'll ask. When it comes to law, the aspect of contract in acquisitions is you have so many moving parts that is not for an answer in a Q&A session. Okay? I'm just going to throw some things at you. First of all, is the structure of LLCs. That's the first thing, okay? Where are you exactly in this structure? And it's so complex. That's why it's so different than single-family homes and stuff like that. Because when you have an LLC, I'm just going to throw at you something. It's going to be like a hose with water on your face. Like that. So you have the LLC structure, right, of the property. And then take it tear down. You have the LLC, and that is, the sponsor, right? The sponsor is the guy who does the deal, who owns the deal, who found the deal, who's the big honcho, who rides the deal. Then he's the general partner, we call him. And then on the other side, you have the limited partnership, right? That's another LLC. Okay, it could be a corporation, it could be an LLC, it could be whatever. It depends on how the lawyers and the accountants think it best should be. Okay, at that point. Okay, usually it's LLCs. And they both go and they own that property. And this has maybe more of equity, but that has more control. And then on top of that, you have his investors. And this guy has his investors. And then you have another debt component, which is the bank. And all these things of the equity are written in the contract. And that is, the contract basically does express every single ownership aspect and what is everyone is in charge of and what is everyone has to bring to the table to the deal, and where when everything or things go wrong, where this party has to compensate that party with and what and how and so on and so forth, or they can kick them out or they whatever. So that is in general what the contract basically says. You have tons of splits and tons of details about the equity split. And that is the next part, meaning how the money actually splits. So there will be no questions. If the deal brought this, then it splits like that. And if the deal brought that, it splits like this. And that is those percentages coming into play, and etc. And sometimes you have another LLC, and many times you have a lot of LLC on the LP side. That is the LLC for the investors. Okay. And there you have also a general partner for them. I can go on and on. It's like, but the attorneys need to know everything that comes to that. and that is in an agreement, you have also the aspect of due diligence that the attorneys are a part of, meaning they don't do everything. They don't do the finances. You have to do the finances either in-house or with, the analytical part to make sure you get all the numbers right, etc. But the attorneys, meaning the legals, are so important to understand the ins and outs of the, every deal, what's happening, the ownership levels. Is there a problem? Is there a problem with the codes? Meaning you have to understand, is there a problem with certain underlying leases that are existing? Is there a problem with the ownership of the if it's a ground lease or not? If the lot is it's a raw land, what are the things that are coming up into play in terms of legals that you can bump into? And you have so many moving parts, and that's why you need professionals. And that's why it comes to that. And that's why I don't move when it comes to legals. I don't move an inch without a very good lawyer. And it can get expensive, but it's really a lot more expensive when you don't have a good lawyer.
Yeah. Now, also, do the attorneys vary based off of deal types or different, let's say, structures?
What are you saying? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Do the attorneys vary based off of deal types or asset classes different? So let's say, like, if you would go into residential more, you would bring an ex-lawyer, or let's say if you go into an office building.
Oh, for sure. Yes. So 100%. First of all, every single type has a person who's an expert. Every single type, every single area has a different type of lawyer, because every area has different requirements in the city, in the municipality, certain local laws that are underlying in that area. So it's not only asset class, it's not only deal type, it's asset class. Like, I give you an example. A lawyer, an attorney who does transactions like contracts, okay, that are for acquisitions, for income-producing type of properties, what we call core, okay? Easy peasy, as we call it. They're there. So that person has to be able to look at all the leases to see that there are no concessions that are crazy, that everything is run properly in terms of the legals, and there are no issues with payments in the past for the mortgage, and that you're going to fall on you or to the city hall with water, sewage, and all these things. You have to check all these things, right? That's one thing. And the transaction, okay, that meaning the lawyer is going to make one contract usually with the seller. And usually that's it. You may help you to get a third-party management company. That is going to be a contract. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of work, some fix-ups and stuff like that. All kind of things like that. Maybe someone who's going to make a certain work or inspection, so the lawyer is going to help you with a little small contract with them. But there's not going to be that much, right?
Okay.
But take that is like, for example, a multifamily. But take that and all of a sudden switch it into a retail or an office, okay? Then the lease is a lot more complex, meaning it's not like, at least for a multifamily, it's like a family is going into a lease. You don't need a big lawyer. You could take some local guy, pay him a little bit, and he can look at the leases. I'm not talking about the big transaction. I'm talking about the leases. But when it comes to office and retail, much bigger, much more complex, a lot more crazy. So that requires a lot more expertise. Or, for example, if you come to development, that is a whole different level. If the attorney never dealt with, and he is your guy, okay, or your girl, doesn't matter. And they are helping you with those contracts in order to get through these things, in order to come through, this whole development process. You know what it takes? It takes to get not only the acquisitions of the land, but to check the zoning, to make sure that everything is, in place according to what they told you that it is. They have to check the ability that you will be able to do whatever you have to do. The attorney will have to correlate together with the architect to make sure that everything is in place, not only in the planning, but the legals together. And then you have to do transaction, meaning you have to have contracts with the CM and the GC and who knows what. Okay, and engineers and people are coming in, inspections and this and that, and phase one, you have so many things you'll have to bring it to the table that will require an agreement. So many things will require an agreement, and some have less agreements because it's the general contractor that does everything. But sometimes it's a system that is, I'm not going to get into it right now. It's going to be too much, but it's going to be open book, that every single subcontractor that you deal with will have to have a contract, because you want to pay less eventually. It's more work, and it's more to pay the lawyer. So you're paying him X amount of money per hour, and he has to make a contract for each and every person. And you'll obviously know that every contract takes time. Nothing's smooth. No one's happy in the first shot of the contract. And the key of making a very successful transaction with attorneys is that you stay cool and you know that everything is workable. Everything is workable. And sometimes it's not, but most of the times you can always work it out. You're not scared. You always see, you never, it's like, oh my gosh. There's no, oh my gosh. There's, okay, so what do we do? That's the attitude you should have.
Okay.
I hope I answered as much as I can without being an attorney and without dealing with that stuff much. Meaning I always get into details. I always do. But in the end of the day, you need a real good lawyer. That's the end of the day. Also, when it comes to tax and certain things that are, requires professionals. And that's pretty much everything when it comes to commercial real estate.
Right. It was pretty clear. Like I got a lot out of that answer without going into too much details.
Cool. Anything else?
Am I still available? I don't know.
You can still go. You can still go. I just want to see if.
Do you see me? It's frozen on my screen.
What?
It's frozen.
No, it's frozen. Oh, 1 second. You see me now? You hear me?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there we go.
So I hope I can hear you. Just 1 second. Just 1 second. I just want to ask this guy. So. Okay, cool. All right, next, shoot. Let's go to the next.
This is more of a general question, but what advice would you give somebody who's first entering into real estate, residential or commercial? Well, I guess more commercial.
So on the residential side, meaning when you're referring to what I said before, 4 units and below, okay? 4 units and below, you don't need me for an advice. You have people who do that who are so good at it, and that's as we say, everybody does flipping houses, right? You open the net and the YouTube, and it's pretty much everyone. So you don't really need much. In a very short course, you can get so much out of it, or buy a home and rent it out. I'm not a big believer in those. I think that there's a huge disadvantage in this asset class, but at the same time, there's a lot of people doing very successfully with that. I'm not mocking it. I don't think it's bad. It's just a matter of preference and what people want to do. When it comes to commercial real estate, that I can't answer. And I think the key is what I said before is first and foremost, it's education. Okay. It's self-education. It's education. And today, as opposed to what I had to go through, we have courses. And if a person has the ability, financial ability and patience to go to a school like NYU Shack, I highly recommend it. Okay, it's a great school. But you have to put yourself for a few years in a school, in a grad school, and pay tons of money. If you can do it, awesome. But people who come to me are not people who need that advice. The people who come to me are mostly people who want to get into the market already, or don't have that ability, or are not interested in that. That's why I made courses that come from the basic to the a little bit deeper type of stuff. But it's mostly for beginners to go and take their next step. And that's the idea. So I think that the first thing is to do courses, and to get yourself around this real estate thing, to get a lot of terminology, to understand what this is, what that is, what this is, and what that is. If it's asset classes, deal types, to understand what management takes, to understand what is a GP, what is an LPNO structure, a deal, and obviously a basic look at it to pro forma and start playing a little bit with numbers, even though you'll not be an expert, but you will have a good feel and you'll be able to approach it, to understand what acquisitions take. And all these things are so important. And that you can do with courses. You can get so much knowledge with courses, and they will get you this jump start, this launch pad, what we call, to go and go forward and grow with this field and become something big in the future. But that's how you start. And alongside of doing those things, you start getting some books, and you start getting yourself, and you start searching it out, because the more you know, the more you'll know what to learn. In the beginning, people don't know what to learn. They're like, I want to do it. Oh my God, how do I do that?
They're lost.
That's why course is not important, because they get a lot of information. And then when they finish those courses, they say, okay, cool, I learned all that stuff. I'm most passionate about retail, or I want to do hotels, or I want to do warehousing, or I want to do multifamily, and I want to do development, or I don't want to do development. I want to do management, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. That's the stuff I'm more passionate about. And they start then, they know what they want to learn more. And then they start digging into more stuff, more education, the certain type of podcasts, certain type of books, certain type of courses. And that's how you grow. And then they start getting internships or joining a deal or doing that kind of stuff. And then they start growing. That's how it goes. That's how the ladder of education and the ladder of action, I would call it, and growth in this field is going like that. And that's how people grow, with their knowledge and money and action, etc. And that's how they become, what they become eventually. And that's the huge advantage of this field. So that's what I would suggest.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Thank you, Ishai.
Okay, cool. Nadav, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
really,
so much.
Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, and stay in touch. Take care of yourself.
Of course. Have a good day.
Keep on learning. Take care. All right, cool. So how are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing great. I have someone else who wants to come up on the show. Let me see. I have 1 second. 1 second. I just want to see if this guy wants to come up. Okay, cool. Don't understand if there's a guy who's asked me if I want to come up. I'd love to have him, but anyone who wants to come up and has a good question, I have a few good questions I'm going to address in a few seconds, and that is awesome. 1 second. Okay, very cool. Okay, so you guys had a very good taste today, and if you're a student, college student, or you're a college graduate, you got a pretty good taste of what's going on and how these kids, how these guys, and I'd love to see girls also, but it's so many more guys are in there in this field, but I'd love to have girls too. If you're a girl and you're listening, I'd love to have you on and to hear your questions and to help you out. And I would love to do that in any level. So, but it's mostly today about beginners. And I'd love to see how things develop with everyone's career when it comes to commercial real estate. And you could see for yourself how important it is to educate yourself and how important it is to stay on it, to stay with it, and to keep on educating yourself and on the go to go and find the right connection, to go and find the right internship, the right job, the right next investment, et cetera, and grow with it. And that's so important. 1 second. There's a person trying to get on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Mickey.
Hey,
How
what's
are
going
you?
on?
How are you? You are sideways. If you could make it like what is it, an iPad or or a phone?
I was trying to. Yeah, I'm logged into my phone. Is this way better?
No, actually not. Stay like that. I guess it's not.
Well, this way I'm sideways.
Okay, we'll do this. We'll try that. We'll try this format. That way it's gonna work. We'll try this. Yeah, we'll try this. This is gonna work. How are you, my man?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Doing
Thank
good.
you for coming up. I really appreciate it. Today's a lighter type of a thing, and I'd love to have anyone who has interesting things to say, mostly about. So we had 3 kids that are really interesting about interested in commercial real estate, want to get into the field, I gave them some advice. We heard some of the stories. Some of the stuff went away from real estate. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mickey.
Sure. So as you know, my name is Mickey Cohn. I recently switched industries, so I call myself Mickey Cohn, the phone guy. But I do have a passion for real estate. But it's one of those things where I'm on a journey, and if I have to make a little bit of a left turn, but I know where my end game is, because I believe that real estate's the place to be. But if I have a problem and get caught up and I do so well in the job I'm in now, it's a good problem to have.
Right. Thank God. Right.
So that's what I'm in the telecom communications industry. I call myself the phone guy just because of simplicity, but there's a lot more I do than just being the phone guy when it comes to that industry.
100%. So what is it? Tell us a little bit about your industry. You're already here. You're already on the line. Maybe someone already online. Maybe someone wants to hear more about this and is interested in that.
Sure.
And then we'll go into real estate again.
Sure. Awesome. So basically, the reason I call myself the phone guy, because it's just simple and it's something to be catchy. But what I love about it is that two things. It has a certain similarity to real estate because there's residual factors. Every single month, someone needs to pay the bill. So for me as a sales guy, that's an opportunity to get that done. Let me just shut my ringer here. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
Cool.
So basically, that's one of the things I happen to love. Another thing I love about this industry, there's a lot of, from my end, there's a lot of customer benefits that I'm dealing with. The company I work for is called Unicom Telecom. And we deal with voice, data, cloud-based services. The simplest thing is the VoIP. A lot of people are now familiar with. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the pandemic, everybody's moving their offices out of the office, working remote. How do you have a phone that you could just plug and play? And that is using the IP, and that's why it's called VoIP, for voice over IP.
VoIP, yeah.
Yeah.
So living in Israel, meaning we know this very well. We've used it for a while.
Correct. I mean, it's not a brand new concept, but to many people,
technologies probably are different, meaning obviously.
Correct. I mean, I happen to love a few things. The fact that I could just make a call from all different types of gadgets. I don't need an actual phone. You can use, there's two types of phones. I guess we'll break it down to a hard phone, like a desk phone. Then you have a soft phone, which stands for software. So you could use your actual computer, laptop, iPad, tablet, and you could use all those gadgets as a phone, and just log in and make a call from there. So I find that's very helpful for people, let's say they're in, especially real estate. Someone's traveling out on a project, still wants to be reachable, still wants to make a call. All those things are accessible from any gadget you have with you, using the web phone, using the soft phone. Even your cell phone, it's very cool. You could have the proper app on your phone, so you don't actually need, I don't need to give out my personal number. I can give out my work line. It's going to ring on my cell phone. I can make a call from my cell phone, but it's going to be showing up as my work caller ID. I could transfer callers. If, let's say, there's a conference call, there's just a lot of cool features that I happen to love about this industry that I believe is going to benefit many people. So it's not like, oh, I am Mickey Cohn, the phone guy. There's a lot of people like me out there, and it's amazing industry. I happen to have a passion. I love real estate. That's why I was watching your live. I'm happy you brought me on so I could share with you what I do.
Excellent, excellent. So tell us about your passion to real estate. How does that work, and what really is the thing that you love about real estate, and how it correlates to real estate? Maybe your clients that do real estate. How is it connected?
I believe real estate is a good place to be because it's one of those things where when you own a piece of property, it's just there. It can't disappear. You know, when I have products, the products could get outdated. I'm not saying that, it doesn't necessarily make a difference which industry you're in. You have to have a passion, you have to have a drive, you have to have a focus. And if you don't have any of those stuff, most likely you're not going to be successful. Particularly with me, I don't know, it just made sense. you have a piece of real estate, everybody needs a place to live, and people are going to constantly have to pay that price to be able to live.
Right,
And
exactly.
real estate covers that. So it always made sense to me. I used to be in the construction industry dealing with flooring, which was a step
Oh,
closer
wow.
to real
Right, right.
estate.
Remember, we spoke about this several times, right?
Correct. And the only reason why I kind of moved industries, just because for the time being, my current livelihood situation, and the compensation and everything, it just made a lot of sense. So I don't think this is what I'm doing right now is going to take me away from being able to buy a piece of property, invest in something. You know, buying anything, you need money. So if this is something that's going to be able to help me build up, bigger bank account, then it's more of a chance of being able to buy something.
Right. First of all, I agree, but that's the one thing I talk about here. And I spoke to all these, young people that we had on the show, and more than that, even beyond that scope, that commercial real estate can be looked at from different angles, right? It can be looked from big family angle, like people with a lot of deep pockets, as we call it, and where they bring people in, meaning family members, and all the kids work in the same business, et cetera, and they buy real estate and they hold on to it, and the capital is not the issue. They have partners, they may not have partners, whatever it is. So you have that scope of real estate, but then you have the different type of guys who want to get into real estate, or girls, doesn't matter. People want to get into real estate. And these are people who don't necessarily have the ability and capital or connections to get into it. They can't go into grad school, they can't learn it, and they can maximum flip a house. But when it comes to commercial real estate, they just don't know anything. And they say, okay, this thing, I really want to own an office building, or I want to get into retail. Maybe I want to do multifamily. How in the world do I do that? And obviously, you have people who are older, and then they have the money, and they are, let's say, 55 or 60, and they're retired or nearly retired, and they say, I have money. I have like $300,000 or $1 million or whatever, and I want to invest in. That's a different type of a thing. And even these guys need to be educated, and there are ways to educate those guys. Okay. And they also should take courses, and they should also get educated and try it out and join groups, et cetera, and then start investing on their own, a little bit more passive in the beginning and maybe getting a bit more active later on. But when it comes to making a career out of it, and yours truly is a great example of it. In the middle of my life, I was an educator. I was teaching Jewish studies, and that's what I did. And all of a sudden, I had to switch and change my world and change careers, and all of a sudden become something that I was not, pretty much. I didn't know anything about business, let alone real estate, but I had this passion. So how do I do that? How do I change careers in order to be able to make a living that is I'm passionate about, aside of the education that I was in, and actually be able to know all this stuff that I need to know in order to get in, because that's such a knowledge. The knowledge base that is required in this industry is so wide and so big. How in the world do you do that? That was a big question for me, and that's why I do this, and that's why I tell people, you want to get into this industry, you want to join this industry, you want to make a living in this industry. That's the part where exactly what you said. It's not having money part, it's having knowledge part. Because the second the person who has the knowledge and is dedicating himself to actually lead and to go forward and find deals or to find partnerships wherever you see yourself in the scope of commercial real estate, that's when you're going to be able to do business, because your knowledge and your connections are going to make it happen. That's when we're going to make it happen. And other people's money is going to come into play. You'll have to be extremely responsible and extremely knowledgeable and start from scratch. And in the beginning, do something that is more sidekick type of a thing. But that's how you start, and that's how you get it done. And that's how people get it done. And some people make it as personal money or make it big, and some people make it with other people's money. They make it big, and some people make a career out of it, which is the difference between the residential part, which you could be only, maybe if you make a career, it can either be an investor or a broker. That's pretty much it.
So to get a little bit more of a handle on this industry, so basically, if someone is in the if someone's in real estate on the residential side versus the commercial side, the commercial side has much more of a career than the residential side.
The commercial, yes, 100%, because the residential side can make a career. A person can make a career in the residential side out of being a broker, a residential broker, and that's it. But there are no salaries that people can come in and build themselves a career. Let's say a person who comes from nothing, like I said, okay, and he wants to start from scratch, but he needs to make a living. He wants to start from something. So he can make an internship if he's young. He can make nothing in the beginning, and that's easier. But what if you're a little older? Or what if you have a passion to become a developer one day and you don't want to build just single family homes? You want to build buildings, okay? And what if you want to be an operator? You want to own tons of office buildings, or you want to have a lot of multifamily units? What do you do then? What's your path? And it's not going to happen by going and being a broker or sells or rents houses or condos, okay? You have to know a lot more stuff. How do you do that? So the career path for commercial real estate is very different because people can get jobs in that field. And it's not a simple thing. It's not a simple task, especially if you don't come from it, or you don't have the much connection, or you don't have the right education. But if you build yourself up in that way and you're relentless, you can do this. And that's why I come and help those people who want to get into this field. And that's why they can do it. That's why it's possible. That's why it's possible. Just like every other thing, you just have to be relentless. There's this show now that's going on. I spoke about this before. I don't know if you're aware of that. There's a show, and I'm not connected to a TV or something, but online it came to me through the social media, and I watched it in social media. In the Discovery Channel, it's called the Undercover Billionaire. Okay, and they took a guy. Who's, I don't know if he's a billionaire or not, doesn't matter, but he owns billions of dollars of businesses, okay, particularly in the real estate, CMBS, lending, et cetera, commercial mortgage-based securities. He's big, very, very big, talking about billions and billions of dollars of business. And he said, I bet, and he did it all on his own. And He said, I can do this again in 90 days, not this amount, but I can make a business that a valuation of the business is going to be $1 million. And they made a show out of it. And they put him in a town that he didn't know he's going to get to. They said, we're going to drop you, off in some place. You don't know where it's going to be. Going to give you $100, take your identity, going to call you a different name so people you can't use your, I'm a big guy thing. Give him like a rundown, not rundown, but a very old pickup truck. And here you go build your business. And it's humbling. It's, seeing it's such an inspirational thing. You see the guy, sleeping in the car and doing this. And now the season started with a few other people, some women, some men, actually one of them is Grant Cardone. Everybody knows Grant Cardone in the net. And he's doing that. Now he's getting to do that. He did it, but it's amazing how a person who is putting in that position, how much of a test it is on the person, to put him back into that position, how relentless you have to be. And that's a lesson that's inspiring to every one of us, to go and say, we can do, we have to work hard. We have to trust in God. We have to know that He's with us, and we have to do our very, very best, and we have to pull it through as much as we can. Wow. That's the key.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Mickey, thank you so much for being here. You have something to add? You want something to say before?
Well, I'm a big fan of networking. I was taught when I was younger that part of getting something is giving. And I think that applies in many things in life, especially in business. So 100%. That's the reason why I'm always excited to network, even if it's not directly in my industry.
Thank you for coming up, really.
And, I appreciate a lot of things you were saying, and may you continue being blessed. And if anyone else wants to network, feel free to reach out.
So everybody, please, guys, listen. Mickey is the phone guy, and he's definitely a networker. and I saw one of the events, and immediately, the guy who comes to you and say, "Hey, let's talk," is the guy who makes connections, and that's the guy you want to be in touch with, and that's the guy who's going to help you get in touch with other people in different industries, because everyone who you connect with knows someone who is in your industry that you want to connect with. So
So true.
always remember that. And
That event is coming up, by the way. It's called the RBBN.
RBBM. What is it?
The Rockland Business Breakfast Networking. It used to be in person, but now it's virtually done virtually. The Brian Wallace is going to be hosted. I can send you the link.
Please do.
It's going to be
Thank
amazing.
you very much. Please do. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your time. Really, thank you for coming up. Really do. Thanks,
All right.
Vicky.
Awesome. We'll
Take
be
care.
in touch.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Sure. All right, guys. So anyways, so here's what we're going to do now. What we're going to do is I just want to try to share the screen here. Okay. 1 second. I want to share the screen. I want to show you something that I'm working on. And that is the surprise that I have today. Okay. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. 1 second here. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying this show, and I hope you find this informative, because I am enjoying it, and especially appreciating, all these people who came up on this show, and that is awesome, by the way, really awesome. So here we go. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to bring something up on the screen, and again, I'm not such a techie guy, so it's not so easy for me. But here we go, and boom, and share. Okay, so here we go. That's what I want to do. You guys seeing this? I hope you guys are seeing this. Let me first explain what's going on here. Okay. So first of all, anyone who was on the show today, and our time is running out because I have to get off. But I appreciate everyone's time. Everyone who came up on the show today. I just want to see someone send me a message here. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anyone, and I did everything right for everybody, and I'm helping everybody that I can help, etc., etc., etc. Let me just see. It's different than the regular show that I do. So first of all, about the show tomorrow, I just want to tell you guys about the show tomorrow before I put in this shared screen that I'm going to tell you about. The show tomorrow, guys, we're going to have Joel Wall. Joel Wall. Everybody remember Joel Wall from everything, the saga that was with LinkedIn, but we're not going to talk about that much. We're going to talk about his new endeavor, Bizfluence. That is so exciting. That is so amazing. And it's going to be really exciting. So tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Monday on the Shark Eye Show, we're going to have Joel Wall, and we're going to hear everything about it. It's actually pre-recorded, but you're going to hear it live here. It's really amazing. We had really an amazing talk, and it's really cool what he's doing. So tomorrow is all about that. Again, Joel Wall tomorrow at the show, the Shark Eye Show tomorrow. And the next thing I'm going to tell you about is the next project that basically I've been working on, and now it's available. And it's called basically the 7-day CRE challenge. Okay, the 7-day CRE challenge, and the 7-day CRE challenge is a pretty big thing. Okay, let me just 1 second. Again, I'm not so great at the techie stuff, so 1 second at the stream. Boom. Okay, so the 7-day CRE challenge. Okay, now I see. That's how you have to do. This the button you have to push. See? Okay, cool. Now I feel so knowledgeable. Listen to me very carefully. Everybody wants to get into real estate. Everybody wants to come in. Everybody wants to learn, etc., 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 etc. And everybody wants to be a part of this. Everybody wants to be a part of this. Everybody wants to be something in this commercial real estate game. Okay, and people have the passion for commercial real estate, and they don't know how to start. They don't know how to do it. I created this thing called the 7-day CRE challenge, which is informative about commercial real estate. It's an introduction to commercial real estate. Every day has a different challenge, different video that will show you what it is, that will show you why everyone can do it, how everybody can do it, and what are the things that everyone can do. And this is an amazing thing that I've created. And the first day is for free. And I'm going to put the link in the bottom. So anyone who is interested in doing this thing, all you have to do is to click on the link. You go, you have a place to put your email address, and you got this whole thing for free. And you can enjoy it and watch it for absolutely free. The first day, of course, the first day is free. Not that the other stuff is expensive. It's only $27, but basically the first day is for free. And that's the idea. I want everybody to be able to have an access to some education. Whatever I can give free, I give free. Like this time that I gave, 2 hours plus of this show, I gave just for nothing. And I brought people on, and I spoke to them. And I'm going to do the CRE Shark Eye show tomorrow and on Thursday, every Monday, every Thursday. Try to help people, try to get them to be knowledgeable of commercial real estate. And this is the time for everybody to do. So it's been a pleasure being with you guys, without a doubt. It's been a pleasure being with you guys. I'm going to try to see if I can come up with 1 second with this thing. Give me 1 second. I'm going to take this off. I just want to show what I'm going to give in for free, and that is important to me. So give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, cool. So, all right. Give me 1 second. Here we go. If anyone has a comment before we go, anyone wants to say anything, please say something. Please say something. Please give me a comment. Please throw something at me. I'll be happy to hear from you. It's been an exciting show, really exciting show. While I'm saying all these things, I'm trying to upload this picture that I have and trying to put it on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Here we go. Okay. Very nice. All right. Okay. This is the slideshow. Set it up. Cool. Excellent. So here's what it is, and that's what I want to show you. Here we go. So this is, guys, the number 1 day. This is for free. I'm giving day 1 for free. I'm going to put the link right now, and you guys will be able to see it. So the link here for this thing is the following. Give me 1 second. And when 1 second here, I'm putting the link. In just 1 second, you'll have it here on the thing on LinkedIn. I'm going to put it on StreamYard so everybody can approach it where you see it on Facebook, etc., but not on LinkedIn. So that is the way to get this, okay? And the way to get it on LinkedIn is going to be directly on LinkedIn. I'm going to put it on LinkedIn. Give me 1 second, and that's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm not a techie, guys. You'll have to excuse my untechiness, as we call it, okay? So here's the link for this 1 day, okay, challenge for free. You guys can do this for absolutely free. Just go in and you can do this and enjoy it and have fun with it. And again, tomorrow, we have an amazing show. I'm going to take this out for a second. Tomorrow, we're going to have an amazing show. Tomorrow, we're going to have Joel Wool. Be there. 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. And I want to thank everybody who came up on this show and gave value to other people, and everybody who's listening to this and want to get the knowledge and want to get more real estate, knowledge of real estate. Be sure to listen to the CRE Shark Eye show every Monday and every Thursday. It's been 2 hours and 5 minutes. That's a lot. I need to get something to drink and to eat, and I need to get away from this. So thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful Sunday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves.